But how do you see this one going? Could this be a banana peel for the Gunners?
Short answer to that is no. Listen, I totally understand. You kind of know what you're getting from a Sean Dyche team. But when you're down near the bottom for most of the season, as Everton have, granted the points deduction played a huge part in that, and then all of a sudden now you find yourself out of danger. No, you're not going down. It's really easy just to kind of put the season behind you. You know, you start well, but 20 minutes in, you just think, oh, just blow it off, ref. Let's let them have it. We've had enough of this pressure down the bottom of the table. We just want to put this season behind us and look forward to next season. So expect a strong start from Everton, but I expect that to kind of fizzle early on. That being said, at the best of times, Arsenal against Everton, you'd back Arsenal, certainly this version of Arsenal, 99 times out of 100. They really have been that good. So I expect Arsenal to get the job done, which is all they can do, while keeping one eye on what's happening in Northwest up at the Etihad, and just hope for a minor miracle, mind you, coming from West Ham, albeit a West Ham on the road. But we know that David Moyes can set West Ham up to be a little bit pragmatic, shall we say. Between that pragmatism and any nerves from Manchester City, some of which we probably saw at Spurs, who knows what twist the final day of the season may yet have.
Just also sticking on Arsenal, because you talk about how it's so rare to see nerves getting to Manchester City. So you'd expect it to still get to Arsenal, even though they've shown how much they've grown mentally this season under Mikel Arteta. But, you know, it's also a good thing. It's almost like a blessing and a curse to have this last fixture at home, because then you have the pressure of what's going on, focusing on what's going on in Manchester as well. And then doing that in the presence of 60,000+ fans who will literally be holding their breaths come Sunday, Shaka. So Arsenal, this is going to be a huge mental game for them too, even though it looks like they've already won on paper.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and everything hinges on what's happening in Manchester, and of course that information will be flowing quite freely, quite openly, and players will be aware of what's happening in real time, at the very least from fan reaction. I've been there. May 1996, final game of the season. Newcastle, we were at home to Spurs, and Manchester United, who had just gone top of us in the table, were away to Middlesbrough. We had to win and hope that Middlesbrough got something. The difference that day was that Manchester United, away to Middlesbrough, took the lead very early on. It might have been 2 or 3 even before half time, and that kind of knocked any wind out of our sails. In the end, Newcastle drew, so it was a 4-point difference. But if we had to win, there was no question in my mind that we would have. But that information gets to you on the park in real time, and this was pre-internet. We had cell phones, but it wasn't that great. But even then, you knew exactly what was happening at Middlesbrough, and you expect the exact same to be happening with Arsenal. Now, if all of a sudden you get to half time, an hour, and West Ham are still level with Manchester City, there's a sense of belief, if not expectation, that kind of grows around Arsenal and their game. But I expect them to start brightly, get a lead, hold on to that, and just hope for good news from elsewhere.
Any chance you can make for West Ham, another London rival of Arsenal, to probably do them more of a favor than Spurs did?
Yeah, well, listen, there's again, truth be told, Manchester City against West Ham, City win 99 times out of 100. If I'm trying to make an argument for West Ham have this. But I want to say a little bit of a history or some experience. West Ham had this fascination with denying teams, and as a Manchester United fan, you remember, Alexis, only too well on final days of the season. But that was back in the Upton Park days, just a little bit after the cell phone in a briefcase days. I'm not sure if that still holds. And again, that was West Ham at home at Upton Park. Now all of a sudden you're going up to Etihad. That task is all the more difficult. But as you said, we know that David Moyes can set West Ham up to be pragmatic, to be negative. That's probably why David Moyes is moving on. I'll touch on that in a little bit in a while. That's probably why David Moyes is moving on, and maybe just doing that and just denying Manchester City, because while you accept that somebody at some point may be celebrating kind of a victory, a title-winning victory, while you're in the park, you also have some kind of professional pride in denying them that opportunity to celebrate. You like being party poopers, but
Yeah.
again, it's Manchester City, so all things being even, Manchester City should win. And I will also say, and credit to David Moyes, and while yes, he's had his critics, I've been one at times. I'm sitting around the pragmatism around West Ham football, and West Ham pride themselves in the Ron Greenwood style. They aren't ones their fans don't really celebrate kind of negative football. They want to see teams go out and play and are happy for that, even if at times it means in a losing effort. You have to give David Moyes credit, not once but twice. Whenever this club was in trouble, David Moyes came to its saving, either to get them promoted or to steer them away from relegation. So and put them back on this steady ground. So while again David Moyes has his critics, he also has his fans, and with very good reason, because when the moment needed the man, David Moyes proved himself to be exactly that.
Well, we have some hot takes to get to, which we will in just a bit before we wrap things up in terms of the Premier League title race. But just sparing a moment for City. And like I said, it probably will be their biggest moment now. They're chasing their 6th Premier League title in 7 seasons. Only Jurgen Klopp, was able to stop them. And that was just once, that now everyone's looking at Jurgen Klopp's legacy and wondering, is it as glittering as it seems to be? Because again, only able to stop City once in those 7 seasons, but they are building quite I want to say scary legacy, Shaka. And of course, a lot of it is on Pep Guardiola, because we know the brilliant manager that he is. What has he not won? But this legacy of Manchester City, it's going to be hard to topple, at least in the current and near future, for any club looking at them now.
Absolutely. But the only thing that kind of damages or stops this legacy, to use your phrasing, Alexis, is these financial stipulations, that the investigations that continue to be ongoing, and right now it's kind of dragged on to the point where it really is taking away from what we see and how we feel about Manchester City, because you have Everton have now had points deducted twice during the course of one season. Nottingham Forest have had points deducted. The fines were, or the investigations were announced around Manchester City's finances over 12 months ago, and still nothing, no kind of resolution in sight. And yes, I get it. It's a different type of circumstance and different charges. All that is semantics, while this kind of drags on for as long as it has, and Manchester City continues to build the legacy that they have over the last 7 years, but you could probably say it was even longer in the building. That being said, point deduction aside, if we can, it's almost impossible to put into any kind of perspective what we've seen from Manchester City over the last 7 years. 6 titles in 7 years. The one title they didn't win, I think they trailed Liverpool by a point, albeit they won at least one of those. Manchester City won at least one of those by a point themselves. But consistently, their points tally has been as high as any in the Premier League. It really has been incredible to witness how they've been able to do that, and do that consistently. In terms of all good things, I guess, all legacies come to an end at some point. And Mikel Arteta, who of course was once Pep Guardiola's number 2, is building quite a team down in the red part of North London. When you look at Arsenal, look at their youth, and maybe what that promises in the long term, maybe we'll see an unseating of Manchester City at the very top. But put nothing apart City, put nothing apart Guardiola. They've been able to continue to refresh time and time again, and are always there or thereabouts. So even as Arsenal and whoever else threatens to build a team to knock them off their perch, they have a way of renewing. So right now, as I said, the only thing that maybe can stop Manchester City is Manchester City and how they've managed their finances in the past.